Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another quick production tips that we're doing on every Thursday with Vandalism. I am Shanahan, and before every video, as I've said, go over to our Vandalism website. Make sure you check out our more extensive tutorials that are 20 to 25 minutes in depth. They cover a really large array of things, so make sure you take the time to go check that out. For today's quick walkthrough, we're going to do a little sound design on the bass line for Marshmello and Far East Movement's Freal Luv song. That's a pretty popular track that they released not too long ago. But the main bass lead we're going to focus. I'm not going to focus on drums or any of the vocals or chops going on. That's not really the focus. We just want to get that tight bass lead that they're using on the drop. So we're going to try to get something like this. So first things first, as always, we have our MIDI. Make sure you get that all set up so we can understand notes where it's hitting, and then we're going to go into we're going to use Serum for our synth today. It's overall pretty basic what you have to do to achieve that sound, but the real part that's going to make it come alive or sound similar to the one they have is a little bit of the back end processing we'll do with the effects. I traditionally will do a lot of processing on the channel strip itself, but I'm going to do it all in box so we can kind of utilize Serum as doing the complete preset all in box. So as you guys know, you start with Serum, you're going to get really basic saw. Let's start off with our oscillators. I'm going to want both A and B on. The first one, I'm going to try to use the BSOD square, which you can get over on the analog section. You'll scroll over here and you'll see BSOD square. We're going to start there. I'm going to bring this down a full octave. I want it to be a little fatter. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of width. I'm just going to give a little bit of the unison up, and we can start detuning it to give it a little more width. So basically, I'm just trying to find that sweet spot here. We don't want it too detuned. It'll start sounding a little bit too out of the ordinary. We can bring the level up. So I know that sounds super basic and far from where our end result will be, but you'll see once we start utilizing the envelope, we're going to route that over the cutoff. You'll start getting that rounded sound that we actually want for our end result. So let's go over to oscillator B, and let's load in the next one, which is underneath digital, and I'm going to utilize the perfect SQ steps, and you can come down here. It's right down towards the bottom. And I'm not going to bring that down a full octave. I'm just going to leave that as is. And we can turn that down, because now I'm going to route this over to our sub. So you'll go to FM sub, and that'll route over there. So now we can turn on our sub. I'm going to utilize this sign right here. We can bring that down a full octave. All right, so our next, we got both our oscillators. They're really, I know they're sounding super basic off the bat, but again, it's going to start coming to life once we route the oscillators. We are going to also use the noise section. So let's turn that on. And you can actually go to the attacks miscellaneous section, and we're going to scroll down to get a perk hit, like a trans perk it's called, and we can just use 2. Let's crank that up. Make sure all these are on so it's routing to our keyboard, and I want to bring that up a full octave. Go to 12%. It's getting a little clicky, just a subtle amount. So we'll make sure when we're over on our filter section we want A and B on. I'm going to turn this on now, and we're going to utilize a German LP, which you can get in the miscellaneous section. Usually I do some of the normal cutoffs. Let's just use this for now. It's going to give a more dramatic cutoff, high cut. And you'll start to lose the sound now a little bit as we're kind of figuring this out, because now we're going to route our envelope to create that kind of movement to the bass line, and you'll see it come to life a little bit more. So we'll give a little bit of that resonance here, so it kind of comes out a little more at you. All right, so now that we have pretty much no volume on it, let's route our envelope over. let's just utilize envelope 2, and you just grab and drag it over to our cutoff. So now anything we draw in our envelope, as you guys know, will interact with our cutoff settings. So it's going to kind of have a lot of movement with our envelope. So we can start shaping that. Let's bring the sustain down. I want it to be pretty sharp. And leave the decay pretty much where it is. I don't really want too much attack. I want the sound to have that little bit of a pluck bass to it. So we can pretty much have your attack down, and we'll have a little bit of release here. So it's kind of got that pluck sound. You can see how every time I'm hitting my keyboard, it's triggering over here. So it's starting to get there. It's coming to life a little bit. Let me tighten this up right here just a little bit. And that's going to kind of close it off a little more as far as your high cut. So you're starting to just feel that low end BSOD oscillator. So that's starting to come to life there. Really basic, as you guys can see, as far as what we have laid out here. But now where it comes a little bit more out at you to the current sound they have, let's start processing a little bit. I'm going to use the dimension section here. I don't really need, I'm going to take all this hyper stuff off. I don't really need that. I'm just going to give a little bit of the dimension, bring the mix up just a little bit, and we can bring the size down. And let's actually EQ a little bit. We can put this on. Do a low cut. We don't want too much of that low in there. It's going to sound a little bit better with the low cut, because then you can apply a little bit more of a sub sine wave underneath it if you wanted to. All right, so let's move on to the next one. I'm going to put a little distortion. As I said in the beginning of the video, I usually will do the distortion as a third party or Logic's, but since it kind of makes things simpler, we can keep it all in box here today. So it's starting to get that shape now, that sound. You can see the big difference without, it's subtle. It's a 2% difference, but with that distortion, it's going to give that little more drive that the bass line needs. We can compress too. Let's bring this multi-band compressor down, switch on multi-band, and we can kind of give a little bit of compression here. We can open the release up so it's kind of a little bit longer there. And we'll probably do like a 2-to-1 ratio. Bring this down here. All right, so we're getting close. Lastly, I really just want to give a little bit of reverb. We can keep it on Hall. Usually I'll use a Space Designer with Logic's on board. Again, a little bit easier to just do it in box here, but this will work fine for us. Do a little bit of high cut and low cut also. That's sounding a lot closer. With the taking all this off, it's a pretty big difference with just simple processing. So that's really the overall basic sound. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly like their lead, but it's very close. If you go and listen to the song Freal Luv, it's pretty close to that drop lead that they're using. And then from here, you could just apply a little bit more EQing. Bring out those mids a little more. If you wanted just a little bit more, attitude and punch to it, we could put a little more overdrive on it, back off on the output, but really push the drive up. You can see that 2% difference that does also for the synth processing wise. We could compress it a little bit just to keep it level. It all, you know, that will depend what else we have going on in our session. Just a subtle 2 to 3 dB change on the reduction there. But that's really it for the sound. Mess around with that idea with the preset. It's a really cool current sound in today's market with music. It's got that nice deep house, but you know, poppy edge to it also. So it's a really unique sound. But try it out in your track. Let us know if you have any questions. And as always, we'll see you guys next week. And be sure to head over to our website and see our other tutorials that are a little more in depth. But with that being said, take care, guys, and I'll see you next week.